Hello there, good morning and welcome to my little corner of the internet. What I'm doing today, as it's Wednesday, the 8th of September, I'm creating a colouring page, a colouring template for the Angela Porter's colouring book fans, because Thursday's Template Thursday. And this week I thought I'd do a design with a central or a square somewhere I can fit a photo booth picture in. Now these ones aren't of anybody I know. In fact, they come from a set by Tim Holtz from his ideology. It's called Photo Booth. I'm not sure if they're still available. Should look it up. I'll try and remember to do that when I've finished recording this voiceover. And what I'm doing here is I've decided that I'd put a smaller frame inside because I'm convinced that photo booth photos are smaller than the ones in his set. So I thought if I put and some of you may not have them or may not want to use them that way. So I thought I'd put a pattern in the middle with a border around it that the photo booth image would sit over and cover, or something else that would, but you'd still have that edge. And then, so I decided here that I'd do a very fine border inside because I thought there might be just enough space to squeeze the photo booth on. There I think it isn't, but later on I realise it is, but I can always trim it down. You can always trim things down, you don't have to keep them as they were. And here I'm adding yet another border around the outside edge because I thought, well, that would be nice. And there's another reason for this, is that if it gives options for the sizes of things you've got an area for in the middle. So if you want something that's a little bit bigger, you can fix it there. And I'm thinking of photographs or pieces of matting frame or thick card with pictures on. They could be photographs, they could be parts of photographs, they could be things you've cut out of magazines or books, or even if you use something like the mount board that's used for mounting photographs, you can affix quite solid things. And here I'm showing how I've chosen quite a random pattern to fill this space in, because if the photograph overlaps that border into that area, it'll actually still work. It'll look like there's a pattern behind that's showing through, and it doesn't matter if it matches up or not. That randomness, that asymmetric pattern will work with that. So yeah, so with the mount board you can attach things like buttons, or perhaps you've lost an earring, or you've lost, and you've got one and it's got sentimental value and you know it's just hiding away somewhere. It's a nice way to display it and put these into a frame of some kind. But it could be anything. It could be a piece of sea glass, it could be something you've created, it could be a little piece of polymer clay sculpture or tile. And there you can just see me flipping through my visual dictionary, my pattern book as it were, to look for ideas of what I'd like to put here. Now I draw with no idea of what I'm going to create, other than sometimes I may have a purpose for what I'm creating, and often it's favourite motifs. Now these particular kinds of seed poddy things have appeared in a lot of my drawing this week. They seem to be something I'm particularly enjoying drawing. Seeds, pods, capsules from nature are things that are going to appear a lot as we go further into autumn. Because it's that time of year, but then they tend to feature in my art a lot anyway. I find them fascinating things and interesting shapes and patterns, and so much you can do with them. So I'm having a nice time there drawing them. There was one I drew a lot bigger than the others, so I had to have another big one and sort of like make sure I got a range of sizes in there so it didn't look like there was just one big one with lots of little ones around it. But I do like things growing out the corners of frames. Oh, got to add a spirally thing. Is it a snail? Is it a spiral frond? Do you like, when you get ferns where they're still curled up? Is it one of them? Ah, it could just be a happy spiral. I like spirals. They're great. They really are lovely things. So I add a few. Has to be said. And I'm filling in the larger gaps with, I will fill in larger gaps here. I'm filling in the smaller gaps so you don't have to. with black, because the black helps to separate the patterns. I could perhaps fit a tiny circle in those areas, but it becomes confusing and nobody needs to be confused by such things. And it's fiddly and fussy and faffy, and I'm happy to do fiddly, fussy and faffy, but not everybody is. So, and black helps to show, as I said, it helps to separate things. Here I thought it'd be nice to put another border around that's sort of like vaguely geometric. It's like blocks of stone with carvings or holes in. And I like these. It makes me happy to draw such things for whatever reason. And I think perhaps I'm thinking, oh, I need something a bit masculine here because I had a picture. But really, it doesn't end up being quite so, I don't think, as I reach behind me to get what I've drawn, do you see? Yeah, well, as always, whatever I do, it may be floralish or botanical, but choose the colours and it will, you know, suit anything really. And I'm thinking about this, that tomorrow I'll add colour to one of these as my video for the day. And I'm thinking of going with some more earthy, neutral, vintage, aged tones. Because if I went with bright colours, then the photograph may get lost in that brightness. Whereas if I use quite subtle changes in colour, and more subdued, lighter tones, then it may help for the picture to stand out. And also, if I mount the picture on some coloured cards or some gold cards, or use a gold gel pen to put a gold border around it, then that will help to lift it or separate it from the pattern. I'll just have to see how it goes. You know, I don't know at the moment. I really don't. I remember getting quite excited here about these, especially that one I've just drawn with the sort of like the slot in a diagonal. I haven't drawn that one before. I always get excited by strange shaped things, especially when they appear suddenly from the end of my pen without me thinking about it, seemingly. But nearly done all of this. Yeah, I know my hand and my pen gets in the way, but you know, you get to see as my hand moves, and I occasionally move my hand out the way so you can see what I've been up to. Just noticed I've got a cut on the top of my thumb there. Don't know how or when I did that. And another spiral, at least one more. They're great for filling areas in and giving somewhere else for different kinds of shapes and patterns to move off. They give a lot of movement to a design, I think. And here the spirals have morphed into what in Entangled is called muka, which are sort of like these bulbous fronds, these, you know, fronds that have a bulbous end to them. And they're also really nice for filling in spaces, but adding pattern and that sense of flowy movement as well, which is quite nice against the solidity of the frame, with all those blocks and geometric patterns and square edges. It's a counterpoint to them. I think that would be the right word I'm looking for. And again, filling in some of the little gaps so you don't have to, and rounding little edges and corners and adding some thicker lines, some weight to them to root them or ground them. I haven't done it to everything, but every now and again I get carried away with it. So it is quite nice to do. There's a teeny tiny one going in there just because I can. And then I'm adding little circles at the edge because it helps to create a straighter edge to it, or a more finished edge. It's not straight because the circles are there, but you know what I mean. It just fills the edge up to the edge. And now here I'm adding some more seed pods using the same kind of shape as the one above, but they're different. They've got a different form. We've got a round seed rather than one that might be teardrop shaped. And of course, yes, I'm going to put plenty of them in. Whether I've managed an odd number, I don't know, because I didn't actually count them, but I often do things in groups that have odd numbers in. Oh, there's another one going in. That's 6. I really don't know what goes on in my mind when I do things like this, but you know, it's sort of like, oh, what can I do there? Am I going to add another? Yeah, there you are. I worked it out. So we go for 7. But there's also that gap was there. That's 8. That gap was there and it needed filling in, and that needs a point and an edge, and this is where I start adding curvy, viney things, nested curvy vines, because they're nice. And then little circles, little beads are fun to fill little spaces in. And yeah, they are a bit fiddly to fill in, some of the small ones, but with a fine pointed gel pen you can just dot into the middle of it. And I recommend, if you haven't got them, is to get just a couple, even if it's just a gold one, because gold always goes, or silver. But gold I tend to use a lot of. Yeah, I'm not a fan of gold jewellery. Nearly all my jewellery is silver. Although I'm wearing a pair of silver that's been plated with rose gold earrings at the moment. Rose gold is okay, but I'm not a fan. Just personal taste. Silver I really like, and yet I rarely use it. In art I prefer to use gold. How odd. But I do like using these. They are really nice to use and to draw. And then naturally some arches just have to appear, because what would be an entangled piece of art without some arches? And arches also give me the opportunity to have slightly bigger areas of space where it's not so busy. I say that, and maybe, I can't remember. There's some that I do leave empty and some I don't, but I do like doing things like that on the inside of the arch, little diddly bits. Of course, you've got to have a pattern here and there. I wanted to put a little bit on the inside. If I'd left it as an uncoloured little arc, then it would have been fiddly to colour in, so black works. And it adds that darker graphic touch, which that's the word I'm looking for, when it's the little black bits, it's a more graphic look as well. It's in mind of the Alphonse Mucha, is it Alphonse? The Mucha posters of the Art Nouveau period, where black is used in this kind of way. And I like, a vast number of people love Art Nouveau. I love the stylised nature of it, which has influenced my artwork a lot. I mean, you know, it's my own way, but I've definitely been influenced by Art Nouveau, and sometimes even hints of Art Deco creep in. And this is one where I have filled that space in. I think it's because it butts up against the edge of the page, and I've just put some candy stripes in there, pyjama stripes, candy stripes, I don't know. Stripes, you can colour them in any way you like, but I've done them with quite a fine line. Here is coming one of my favourite patterns that I fell in love with from Anglo-Saxon and early Celtic items, usually metallic items, because those are things that survive. And I know this kind of pattern's made an appearance in Entangled as well. But it's just one of those ones, I just love the shape of it. It's been a long while since I've been able to sort of like drool over items like this in museums. And I'm in no rush to visit a museum at the moment still. I'm very wary of the world still. That's not going to change quickly, I'm afraid. But it is what it is. There's another gridded pattern going in, and here I'm using triangles because I love triangles in designs. And I've arranged them in a slightly different way to how I normally would have done. I'm likely to use markers to colour my version of this in once I've got it in, cleaned it up and printed it all out. It would, I had delivery yesterday of a set of Arteza Everblends in the grey set. Between that and the architectural tones, it most probably wouldn't have cost me much more to actually buy the full set of Arteza pens. But anyway, I've got these. And I chose the architectural ones because they fill in gaps of colours that I would like in my chameleons that aren't there. They're quite earthy tones, and some of them are really quite muted. And the greys were looked such a lovely set. I just thought they'd be really nice as well. And they are. They could possibly be my favourite set. The colours in are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm likely to pick on those to use because, as I said, the photo booth pictures are in very vintage tones. One of them I've picked out is more sepia than the other, but these lovely, sort of like muted tones would go really beautifully, and also bright colours I think would jar. So I had those arrived yesterday, the architectural tones a day or two before. So I've been using them along with chameleon markers, my chameleon pens, because they have colours that aren't in the Arteza and vice versa. There's a little bit of overlap, but not much. And working with marker paper. I've also been doing sketch timber. And after a few days of drawing herbs and realising this is all very similar, and it's lovely, but I've been here, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt with sort of like scientific illustrations back in my degree level days, and I thought I need to change. So I'm doing capsules, pods and seeds, just designed them, and yesterday, the day before, I drew out enough for day 7 to 16. Yeah, I did all of those in one day, just a couple of hours, if that. But I've done that on Arteza marker paper because I ordered some of that to see what it was like. And my other thinking of getting the Arteza pens is that I'm hoping that I will get the courage to go out drawing and so on, outdoors where there may be people, but other interesting things. And the Arteza pens would be perfect just to take a couple of them with me, along with a sketchbook that's full of marker paper, which happens to be, I bought an Ohuhu one to try. Ohuhu, I think that's how you pronounce them, because they're bound, and so the paper won't fall out or split off, which is one of the issues with the others. Look at that, I managed to sneak a heart in. How good's that? So I'm trying these out. Obviously, they all work perfectly fine. The big difference with the Artezas is the bullet tip is much harder than the chameleons. They haven't got a brush tip. The other end's a chisel tip, which I would rarely if ever use. But the bullet tip has got finer points than the chameleons, but they're not as juicy as the chameleon pens. And of course, I can refill the chameleons, and I can't refill the Artezas. That's not an option, which is, for me, is an issue because of environment and landfill, and I no doubt when they're empty I will put them out for recycling, but I don't know whether that would be a good idea. Of this area, I could have left this blank, but I chose not to. And I've decided to use that sort of like spiralling outwards pattern that's at the top left underneath the arch here to fill this space as well. Opportunities for plenty of very graphic work, and don't be afraid that if I have miscalculated or haven't done the right number of sections for it to be equally black, white, take a pen and split one up. I'm going to check that before I colour mine in. I might actually do that while I'm editing it digitally. And at the top here, I've decided that I'd like to put some of these little I was going to say beads. They're not beads, are they? They're seeds, fruits, berries. And it is a Zentangle pattern. It's poke root. But it's just lovely. And again, it's that counterpoint to the more geometrics of arches and the patterns along the sides or around the frame. And it's just nice to do. And it will happily fill in some space here. I'm sure I did something. What did I do here? Yeah, I've got my picture here, but I know that I did another arch. I just remembered I did another arch. Of course I did. What would my entangled art be without arches? I got to call it Archful Art or something. It's not entangled. So, oh, look, more triangles. I love triangles. And then split the lower triangle up horizontally and the top one, put a smaller triangle inside, a nested triangle. And then I thought, what do I do in that little gap? I know we'll have the poke roots growing through the arch. Why not? Growing behind the arch. And carry on with some of that just to fill the top in. I think there's an area that I need to do something about, just to neaten the edge off in a couple of places, but I'll manage to do that. So thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for watching me create one of these. The other one I'll show tomorrow. And I hope it inspires you to do something creative. And if you do use these with pictures or other items, I'd love to see what you do. And tomorrow I'll hopefully have some ideas as well and show you things you could do, possibly. It's going to be a busy day today for me, isn't it, with art? But I'm happy doing art. It's nice. It's going to be too sunny, I think, to go out today. And we've got thunderstorms and rain forecast as well. We've got warnings of thunder and heavy rain, I think. Or thunder certainly for the day, so I'm in no rush to disappear. I'm happy to do art. Anyway, I'll stop here wittering. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and find time to be creative. Take care now. Bye-bye.